Hello everybody, it's Tommy and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be doing some Lilo and Stitch Townies. This is basically going to be the end of the Lilo and Stitch series. I have one more video that's going to be coming out with just Lilo and Stitch bonus characters, and that's a newer concept that I've sort of introduced to be characters that are going to be exclusive to the gallery. So they won't be included in the save file download, but they are extra characters that you can add in to play with and do additional storylines and things like that. So today we have the Townies video, and then the next video will be bonus characters, and then we will be moving on to the next movie for Sulani. Now obviously I've been away for a little while. I did go back to the US and I had a lot of stuff to take care of in regards to the wedding, being able to stay in the UK, things like that, and I definitely want to talk a lot about that in a future speed build video, maybe when we have a little bit more time. But I'm really happy to be back. I'm excited to jump back into things. I have a lot of free time to be able to do the save file for the next couple of months, which is really exciting, and I am just excited to be back. I feel like I have had an itch to build and I really needed the break. Like, I was really pumping out content before I left, but now that I'm back I feel really good and like I can go ahead and get started on some things, especially for one of the movies that we have coming up for Sulani that's going to be a little bit more labor intensive. There is like, the builds are going to be more complicated. I won't get into exactly what it can be, but I'm sure a lot of you will guess one of the final films for Sulani that I might have even mentioned in a previous video, I'm not quite sure, but it's going to take up the majority of what is remaining, and I was already kind of thinking about those builds and just how intense they are going to be. They're a little bit intricate, they're going to require some creativity and some ingenuity. I'm just excited to show you guys what we have in store, and then when we finish up Sulani, obviously we're going to be picking a brand new world. I might be taking like the smallest of small, not a break, I wouldn't call it like a break in between the two worlds, only because I am considering, it's been a little while since I have actually put out a downloadable version of the save file, and one of the reasons that I kind of explained that I haven't been doing this recently is because I feel like every time I put weeks and weeks and weeks into getting the save file fully up to date, everything is redone, traits are good, adding all those skills, those jobs, putting the time in to make the characters flawless, the save feel flawless, then all of a sudden the Sims 4 will get an update that just breaks something, ruins my builds, ruins something, or makes the game unplayable for a certain reason, and it feels like I'm putting a lot of effort into making the save file in like a temporary state as well, and then having to do it all over again every time the Sims updates. So I've been kind of against it, but I think we're at a point, since I haven't released one in a while, and because we've added so many really popular and important characters and big castle builds and things like that that maybe don't translate 100% well over the gallery, and I just want to maybe offer a new version of the save. So I'm kind of leaning towards doing that and taking care of that before we jump into a new world. Let me know if you would be excited to have something like that again. It's been about a year, I think, probably more. My brain doesn't work well when it comes to things like this since I last put out a save file update. So if any of you are ever confused, you go to my Patreon and you're trying to find the download for the save file and you're like, why is the last one Mount Komorebi? It's because it literally is the last one. It was shortly after that that I decided I needed to take a break from updating the save and just kind of move along with creating the characters and the builds, because it was not going well and something broke inside of Mount Komorebi that I was not impressed with, and it had to do with like a Sims 4 update. So that might be kind of like the plan over the next couple of weeks. I do want to talk about the characters in today's video. We have, first of all, David, of course, who you could easily move in with Lilo and Nani, but I wanted it to be more of like that boyfriend aspect where he can come over, pick Nani up, go out on a date. He's never really shown like explicitly living there until maybe later on, and I'm sure in future films or things like that. But because he is more so traditionally like a boyfriend character, I thought it would be fun to have him as a townie so you could kind of build that romance with him over time. And then of course we have to have Myrtle and her friends. There are 4 of them. I did the thing that I did when I made Lilo and Stitch, which is aging them up and going from teen or older and making them look what I felt like they would naturally sort of look like as they aged, and then going back down and making sure that as children they don't look completely crazy. The issue with doing it the other way around that I've learned, I guess, like pro tip, is that if you make children Sims and then you like do these really exaggerated features, which I tend to do for my Disney saved characters because they have these big gorgeous eyes and like longer exaggerated features because they're cartoon characters, when you age them up, they look insane and nothing like how they're supposed to. So I feel like this is one of the best ways to do it. Try to make them look as close to how they are actually shown in their film in an older form, and then age them down. And then if anything looks weird, you can sort of adjust from there. But typically, for the most part, if you do the work in the older age, it will look good when they're aged down. So I made the 4 of these girls. I don't remember all of their names off the top of my head. I also wanted to make sure that we added in Myrtle's dog. That is one of the experiments that she receives, I think later on in either the TV show or one of the films. It looks just like an actual dog, but it is an experiment, and something that I've been doing to kind of distinguish some of the experiments in the save file when you use them in the pet form is where it'll allow you to change the breed name. You can put in like a custom breed name, and I've been changing them to like experiment 626 or whatever their corresponding number is. So look out for that whenever you play with the save file. If you see like an animal running around or you see one inside of a household, check and see, or go into create a sim. If their breed is listed, it might be one of the experiment numbers instead of like a traditional breed. I do not have the Growing Together pack, the newer one that came out a couple of months ago. So I think a lot of these characters, especially like children characters where I've been told, received more traits and aspirations specifically for children with that pack, will be getting updated and just kind of going through the hair, the clothing really quick and seeing if anything kind of corresponds a little bit better with the character. I'm probably going to be having to pick up that pack very soon for some characters that are coming up for Sulani, but I wanted to make these guys, and I actually did make them before my break. This video was intended to come out before my trip back to the US, and I ran out of time. So I didn't buy the pack, and I just said to myself, I'll buy it when I come back and we'll go ahead and update them later. I'll probably go over all of the children in the save file and just do a quick glance over them and make sure that their applicable traits and aspirations make the most sense if we have some new options for them. It's not very typical for us to get new children's dedicated stuff, so I want to make sure that that gets the extra attention. But that is why in this video you'll see that I'm picking things that are from some of the older packs. I just don't have the new expansion packs yet. I haven't bought that one yet, or the horses expansion. I have missed out on the extra bonus downloadable content if you buy it before a certain date. That whole thing, I've missed out. I'm a little bit bummed when it comes to the horses pack because one of the guitars that they were giving looks exactly like one of the ones that Miguel from Coco would use. So that was like one of my only reasons that I was leaning into maybe making sure that I got my hands on that, but it just sucks. I really don't want to lean into the idea of that, and I don't like that they have started doing that recently, so I'm trying to tell myself it's okay, not a big deal. They are also pumping out the kits like it is their job. Like, I feel like every couple of months we get 2 new ones. There's been so many at this point. I don't own all of them. I have seen some people kind of say maybe I shouldn't get them all so that people don't feel obligated to get the kits when it comes to the save file, but I just wanted to let you guys know I do intend to eventually buy them and use them. I just don't like the rate that they're pumping them out at, obviously, and I would love to get a little sale going or a bundle option so that I could get a couple of more. So I'm not really intending to specifically stray away from any content or anything that comes out when it comes to creating with the save file. I just don't own any of that stuff yet. I have about half of the kits, and I think I'm missing the 2 or 3 most recent expansion packs. And we have little Fifi here, I believe her name is. She doesn't actually look like the breed that she was shown to be in the TV show. It's one of the ones that has a lot of hair on the top of their head, probably some kind of a Shih Tzu mix or something like that, but we just didn't have anything in the catalog that matched super well, so I believe I've used a mixed breed, and then obviously ignoring the fact that I wasn't able to pick one that had like this super voluminous hairstyle updo sort of look. Ignoring that, just trying to make it generally look like her without that part, and then she did have this like signature big purpley pink kind of bow on her head, so I was excited to be able to give her that because that really kind of helps her look a lot more like the character that she's supposed to be. Another character that I'm going to be adding that will be a Townie is Cobra Bubbles. He is a perfect sort of Townie because he is kind of an important character to the story, but he's never seen, like, you never get to see where he lives. He just kind of comes and goes throughout the story, so he is literally a Townie, and I'm excited to try to get him in the save file to actually work in the social services career. There is a way that you can take some of the NPC roles in the game and apply them to your own characters. One of them is called social services or child services. They are the sim that's going to come take your child away if you are being neglectful, and it would be a really cool feature to actually have that applied to this particular character, considering their role in the film. I've also, for the first time, used the Strangerville mystery trait on the sim or aspiration because it's such a hard to use aspiration, and I thought it was a really cool nod towards him being former CIA, formerly involved with some kind of alien bigger time story where he has previously interacted with aliens before. So having him have the ability to go and kind of like deal with the Strangerville mystery and play through that storyline with this character, it's a way to kind of use that aspiration and also have something that sort of makes sense. And he's also a Townie, so if you don't like Strangerville and you don't like that entire thing, you can just completely ignore it. But I think considering those few things, he makes for kind of a really cool Townie. I was also able to find some different art from the film showcasing some of the clothes that he wears outside of the standard suit and tie that he's routinely seen in the film. So he has a couple of outfit choices, as do all of the Townies, but I kind of wanted to explain why he has a few more casual options. And then the last Townie we have Gantu. Now Gantu was almost not a Townie. He was supposed to have a home in the very first version of Sulani, but I had to make some changes as we routinely do, and it resulted in the loss of the build that was going to be his home. So rather than obviously scrap the character, we're going to be adding a new alien sim to the save file. It's always a little bit tricky considering like trying to adapt the really crazy looking alien versions that are available in like Lilo and Stitch, the way that like how they're all sort of portrayed. Pleakley, for example, having just the one eye and the very slender figure, they are not easily translatable to The Sims 4, so I really try to pull out some of their more key features, more animalistic sort of traits, and also search the web a little bit for some of the previously done like humanized versions of these characters to see if anyone has made some really cool artwork that works. And there was a really nice one that was posted in my Disney Save Discord of somebody turning all of them into kind of human looking creatures, so I used that a little bit as reference. It's actually the thing that made me decide that he ultimately needed a little bit of hair because of the fin sort of feature on the top of his head. I was originally going to leave him bald, but he looks a lot better with the hair. You'll see it at the very end. And I know it's a little bit weird that he is in the scuba outfit from the Sulani pack, but it really fits so well with what we have in the catalog. Like, this is like one of the only things that I felt like kind of embodied what he is actually wearing in the film. Just as a disclaimer, when I do my alien sims, because they are not tied to their human form and you have to sort of do them separately from one another, I just ignore them for the sake of the video, and I will be using a mod to clone their facial features and the way that they sort of look into the human form so that both versions, when it comes to these characters that are really just supposed to be aliens and really shouldn't have two forms, look as close as possible, considering the game limitations of what it'll actually let me do for alien versus human sims. Like, if some of the ears and the eyes are not available for human, then that'll be sort of like the difference in what they actually look like between the two forms. But other than that, they should look pretty similar. And that is it for today's Lilo and Stitch Townies video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you are happy that I am back, and I am excited to show you the rest of Sulani and things that we have coming up. If you'd like to support the Disney Save on Patreon, you can do so by clicking the link at the end of the video or in my description box down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you in the next one.